The F1 2021 game isn't too far away. It's that exciting time of year where we're kind of getting a bit bored of the current game. We want to get onto the next season. The new season has just started, so we kind of want to get rid of the old games and jump on into the new game with new features. We've got exciting, of course, we've got that new breaking point that's coming in as well. Loads of other features are rumored to be coming into the new F1 2021 game. At time of record, nothing else has been officially confirmed apart from the reveal date, and of course the breaking point, as well as a few little features as well that F1 have officially announced upon game release. But today we're going to be doing things a little bit different. We're going to be sitting down, me and another content creator. I'll introduce him in a little bit. And we're going to be sitting down and kind of giving our thoughts, our bit of a wish list. What do we want to see in the new F1 2021 game? So I'll get on to the most important thing that you guys want to know. Who is this content creator I've got involved in today's episode? Well, you should know him. He's a very good commentary F1 YouTube channel as well. Plays a lot of my team, so definitely relevant for this type of episode. Gaming, Formula 1, F1 2021, F1 2020. He knows what he's talking about. That's why I've drafted him in. It is James NS. James, thank you so much for joining me today. First of all, before we talk about F1 2021 and what we want to see, what's your thoughts on the 2020 game as present? We've been playing it for nearly a year now when it got brought out back in July, I think it was. How would you rate this year's game? Would you say it's a very good game, it's the best it's been since whenever, or would you think that it's been a bit of a disappointment and you're not quite happy with it compared to what other people are saying?
I've enjoyed F1 2020. I think it's been an improvement, certainly since 2017 and 2018, which in itself did feel a little bit flat as games. 2019, I think, was a step in the right direction, obviously with the Formula 2, a little bit of a story in there, Devon Butler and Lucas Weber, and I enjoyed that. And then 2020, I think having the career mode with Formula 2, but also having my team, which is revolutionary in itself, and all the options to customize liveries, bring drivers in. I've enjoyed that side of it, being involved in the finances. I think 2020's been good. I don't think it'll top the heights of F1 2012. Obviously, that was one of the best Formula 1 games probably ever. I really enjoyed 2012, but I think 2020, I'd say lived up to expectations. I'd probably give it 7.5, 8 out of 10. It's a solid game, and hopefully they'll look to develop 2021 coming. I think there's been obviously a couple of tweaks that needed to happen on the game, especially for us controller players, but I think overall it's a good game.
So let's start then with our F1 2021 wish list. So we've got 3 points each. That's why it's called 6 points from the 6 things that we want to see in F1 2021. James, let's start with your first thing you want to see in this year's game.
So I mentioned earlier talking about F1 2012, and one of the first F1 games that I also remember playing, I played a whole lot of F1 2014, and my favourite feature from 2014 was the scenario mode. Being able to sit down and enjoy real-life scenarios would be fantastic. And I think if they could develop this slightly further, instead of them just being fixed 20 scenarios, if they could adapt that to real-life Grand Prix weekends, when we're recording this, it's the day after the Spanish Grand Prix. If you could be thrown into a situation where you're Lewis Hamilton, you need to chase down 23 seconds from Max Verstappen on newer tyres and get past them and win the Grand Prix. That would be something fantastic if that was updated at every Grand Prix. That would be a feature I'd love to see. Or perhaps a Champions mode, like 2012 had, obviously with Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen that we've got on the grid at the moment, so not quite having Schumacher and Button that 2012 did. I think that could be another really cool addition to the game as well, and something that would add a little bit of difference along with perhaps my team, and something that people could play every week. It'd be new content, it'd be fresh, and something quite enjoyable as well.
Yeah, I completely forgot about the challenge mode thing that they had going on. I never played that in F1 2012, but I think Arava did a video not that long, but actually where I think it might have been Arava or Tim Marduk, one of the two.
It was Tim Marduk, I think.
Yeah. Oh, it might have been him then, yeah. And I watched it and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. How come I completely missed this? I think it was there. I just never went into there. I've always been more of a career mode type of person. But yeah, I think that would be so sick to do, especially. And if they do bring bring that kind of mode back in future games, if it's not this year's game or the new game, then that's definitely something I'm going to be jumping upon. Maybe doing like a bit of a classic mode would be quite a good addition as well. If you want to go back a few years and do some other scenarios like in 2004, because we have got classic cars, haven't we? So maybe something along those lines. My kind of wish list and as a whole is, it's very career mode based, because that's a game mode play it's a mode I play a lot. So that's kind of where I kind of live. I don't really do a lot of online as much as I used to, or kind of competitive play, because I don't absolutely bash the game. I'm not that good. I'm not kind of esports level or whatever, or serious gaming like league racing. So mine's very much career mode based. Now, the one thing that's really bugged me is in career mode is the cutscenes recently. So catch your mind back to about 2016, 2017, when in F1 2015 they had no career mode at all, which was like the biggest why ever. I to this day I'll never know why they did that. But 2016 they brought career mode back, and they brought in some new cutscenes, and the game was so fresh. In 2017 they changed a few things up, and it was just a breath of fresh air. It was brilliant. But since then, it's been a very Control-C, Control-V type of thing, and it's just been the same ever since. And I'm getting a bit bored of it. I really, really am, of just the same scenes. Everything's the same, apart from they're wearing the new uniforms, the same commentary from David Croft, from Anthony Davidson. I just need something new, because it's just not exciting me anymore. That kind of because I want to feel like I'm a Grand Prix driver, essentially. That's what career mode type is. And to do the same thing over and over again, it does get a bit boring. It gets a bit repetitive. I've put things like better interviews after a race. So you've got the Scottish girl, I can't remember what she's called in
Claire.
the game. Yeah, Claire. So when you're talking to Claire, she gives you the same the same questions, and in the same background, in the same. It's just everything's the same compared to last year's game and this year's game. So like, if you get a podium, for example, you should get an interview on the podium. That's what I want to see. So you're standing in the podium, and you might get Martin Brundle, you might get Jenson Button, or someone else just come up to you and go, "That was a great race today. What do you think of it?" And give your thoughts on that, and that kind of influence your points that you get, or what's it called, like your reputation.
Acclaim. It's in my team. It's Acclaim. I'm playing a lot of career mode, but it's Acclaim in my team. Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of acclaim, so that boosts your reputation up to attract other teams, or even have like a bit of go in some sort of interview pen. We've got Will Buxton in the game now. He's in my team, so get him to interview you in your independence. Just something different. I would say that's kind of where I'm at with that. So yeah, they've just been the same. That's what I would want to bring in, like interviews on the podium, interviews. In a pen, just something different, so it makes it feel more realistic instead of just being interviewed in a garage where my team is. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that one. James, what's your second point on your F1 2021 wish list?
So, as a controller player, one really important thing, I think, is the fact that our controller handling model is a bit of a pain. Obviously, we've all experienced going around the Monaco hairpin and not being able to accelerate literally until the very next corner, because otherwise you're going to understeer into the wall in what is the world's most embarrassing crash. I think if you look at the onboard of real drivers, their hands are crossed more than 180 degrees. When they're trying to turn the car at the hairpin. But obviously on a controller, you can't do that. And it just makes the game extremely frustrating. We have that problem in Monaco. Perhaps the S section at Suzuka is another one where you can't really take it as well as you probably could do without whacking a whole load of rear downforce on the car, because the handling model just isn't quite there. And obviously they rebanked the first corner at Suzuka, I think for the 2017 game. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was 2017. And that changed it quite a lot, and that made Suzuka massively better to drive. But I think either they've got to remodel the handling model for a controller player to perhaps maybe not equal it out a little bit between the wheel players, because in general the best controller player is probably about a second a lap behind the best wheel player. And if that could be slightly even it out to make even open lobbies. I love an open lobby. Me, steaming down the inside of some poor innocent person at Saint-Devote is a hobby of mine. But I think just something to perhaps even level the playing field slightly would be a good addition.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a controller player too, so I've noticed in the games as well that the handling model has got harder and harder as as the years have gone on. I feel like it's very understeery. Even if you have like a really good setup, I'm not like a one that knows how to set up, so I kind of use other people's setups, like custom setups and all that. Even then, the car still feels very understeery. So I would totally agree with you on that one as well. See, that's why I brought you in, James, because you know about the handling model as well. I think you would know that kind of division. Whereas like me, I just play the game. I don't really think of anything like that. So that's why I got you in, because I thought if I just sit here and blast about career mode, it's not a good video. So I'm pleased you did mention that. So my second point, my second thing that I want to see is of course, in career mode in my team now, you've got you can have short seasons, you have long seasons, you have medium seasons, whatever. So you've got like, I think you've got like, you can do a full calendar, you can do 16 races, or you can do 12 races.
It's seven. Seven is you just want to breeze straight through.
Races,
yeah,
you just want to breeze through it, get it over and done with, and move on to the next season. Well, I want to see more. Did you play Motorsport Manager, James?
I played it I played the mobile one.
Yeah,
but I never played the proper game, so it might be slightly different.
Yeah. I think the mobile version did a similar thing as well. So, like, for example, you would do a basic, let's say for F1 2021, you would do a full season, the full 23 races, and that would be it. And then, of course, then the following, in normal circumstances, then you would do the exact same 23 races again. But what I want to see is, if you do a full career mode, what I want to see is change. I want to see a season where the FIA they send you a message, the headboard, and say, right, we're removing Russia, we're moving Spain, removing one of the two. I don't just mean like I'm not saying those two because they're rubbish. I just picked those two, but they were off the top of my head. If they could remove Spa or Monza, which if they do that, I'm selling the game and I'm never playing it again. But you know what I mean? It's like, so they might go, right, okay, this year's calendar is going to be a 20 race calendar. We're removing this, and this on the game's behalf. So, because there is the option to have a shorter season, but I feel like if I was to choose a 16 race season, I've just had a 23 race season, I've lost a lot of races, and I'm like, that wouldn't happen in real world Formula One. It might possibly happen, but it wouldn't drop it that much. And like I said, I want to feel it. I want to make it as realistic as I possibly can. So, and doing the same 23 races for like 10 seasons, it's going to get a bit boring, a bit repetitive, and that's something I've really wanted to see. As probably all the way back since 2011, 2012. So when Motorsport Manager did this, it was quite cool. That they can go, right, okay, we're removing this, but we're adding this track. And of course, in F1 2021, they've got the Canadian Grand Prix still, because that they've already done, the in-game development for it. They've already done Vietnam, which isn't on the calendar yet. But they're not adding in Jeddah, or what else weren't adding in Portimao and
They've changed that though. They're all three of those are actually going to be in the game now.
Oh, they are going to be in the game. Oh,
they are going to be in the game now. But I think you're right. It's the level of dynamism that we've already wanted to see. So for my season 3 for my team, I've changed it from 22 to 16 just because of logistical purposes and how many videos I can release.
Yeah.
But I think it does feel like quite a lot of a schlep. And obviously people want to see some sort of dynamism. So they come to see the driver transfers. Obviously, there were about 17 different driver transfers at the start of my season 3. You'd have like Romain Grosjean driving the Mercedes because Lewis Hamilton didn't fancy being in the sport anymore, and Valtteri Bottas is now driving the Alfa Romeo car, which would just never happen. But it's the level of dynamism that we want to see in the game, and I think that's what's been really missing.
Yeah, exactly that. And of course, with all like everything being sort of reshuffled now, with Turkey supposedly coming in, but now apparently there's rumours going around that it's going to be cancelled. So now F1 game developers are like, what do we do? Do we add it in? Do we not? Do we not? So like maybe try and work a way where they can add in like 2 or 3 different tracks, so they can go, right, okay, we're removing 3 tracks, but we're going to add in Portimao. We're going to add in Imola. We're going to add, and maybe like take them away, add them in, or whatever, just if they can. But you still have the option of doing like a 16 race or a 7 race season still, if you do want to do that, because like James said there, if you're a content creator and you want to churn out the videos as quickly as possible, or if you're just a casual player and you want to get rid of the career mode, your season as well. So you still do that. But if you want to be like a realistic kind of player, then I would certainly maybe look at that kind of alternate. Those options would be pretty good as well. Okay then, James, what's your third and final point on your F1 2021 wish list?
So we called it a wish list. Perhaps this might be a little bit of a stretch, but having some classic tracks, and then, as you say, we've just come on from the last point, integrate them in. Obviously, they won't have to do too much to get Hockenheim back in the game. They won't have to do too much to get Sepang back into the game, the Malaysian Grand Prix circuit.
Yeah.
They won't have to do too much to get other tracks like the Nürburgring into the game. And again, it's I feel like the thing with the Formula One game fundamentally is it does feel sometimes a little bit repetitive. And we get to, we're 10, 11 months into the game cycle now, and we're looking for new things to do. Obviously, we still love the game, we still love the sport. It's still probably our favourite racing game. We're looking for that thrill, and we're looking for a level of dynamism in the game. And I think something like a new Sepang coming into the calendar, or the Bahrain Outer Circuit gets thrown into your career mode, or a different driver comes back. Say Jenson Button makes a magic return from retirement into career mode.
Wow.
Or say Brawn GP are back for your career mode, and they'll be replacing Alfa Romeo on the grid. Or some sort of dynamism. And obviously I know this is quite a long shot because sponsors need to be in the sport, and I think it's the crash model, they can't break a sponsor's logo. That's why we don't get very realistic crashes, because of this agreement they have with sponsors. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's why we don't have sort of the rear end flying off when you thump it into the wall at the exit of the Dunlop curb, because you've got a massive kick of oversteer because you're a controller player. I think it's just the level of dynamism that we're looking for on this wish list, and to make it a perfect Formula One game, that's the type of thing that you need, because the Formula One world is moving so quickly. And, the paddock never sleeps. Even in January, there's rumours, there's this, that, and the other. And we're all excited for what normally is Australia. It was Bahrain this year. And I think that's what the Formula One game is missing. It's a level of dynamism that we just don't have at the moment.
Yeah, you made a good point there about when using the Bahrain Outer Circuit as well. And just referring to what I was saying before about, different tracks and different Grand Prix. They could say, right, okay, because they did this in the Motorsport Manager. Right, okay, for what was it called? The Black Sea Grand Prix, which was the Russian Grand Prix in their game. They said, right, we're going to use the inner loop, we're going to use the outer circuit, we're going to use this and that. I think that would be quite cool to go, right, okay, for Bahrain, we're going to do the outer circuit, the endurance circuit, like they did in 2010, or they can go to Abu Dhabi. They've got different routes. It's even maybe Silverstone could do, maybe
Silverstone
not.
They in the Formula 4 they don't take the hanger straight. They cut through. Maggots Beckett's the last one turns into a really long right-hander, and then they go down the Wellington straight. Obviously, it's probably going to be like a 45, 50-second lap in a Formula 1 car. But then again, we're looking for this level of dynamism. You can even cut through before turn 3 at Spielberg and pick up turn 6, which would be about a 12-second lap time. But it would be quite fun.
That would be quite fun. Just go right. Just FIA, just like they've had one too many and went, do you know what? Let's get rid of half the track. Let's do 12 seconds. Let's just do 100 laps, utter carnage, and see what happens. And guarantee
Can
you
you
one
imagine
thing.
qualifying?
Oh, that'll be nuts. But I guarantee you one thing: it'll be Hamilton, Bottas, and Verstappen in the top 3. Doesn't matter what you do with it. So my third point, like I said, mine's very career mode based. People might be having to go in the comments like, you can't just be career mode, but I'm a career mode sweaty player. Now I know my third point. You're probably going to go, well, you don't have to do this, but this bugs me. So back in when you first started the games in F1 2010 till about 2014, I think. You had the option of, I think in F1 2013 you had the young driver test, which I thought was pretty cool. I think they had it again in 2014.
14, yeah. That was the evaluation test.
Yeah. They did that, and you would choose your academy as such, like McLaren, Ferrari, or Red Bull. Now they brought that back sort of in the modern day games, because you can sign to an academy, Mercedes Academy, the Ferrari Academy, Red Bull Academy, if you ever want to do that. The Renault Academy, if you ever want to do that, you never get a chance to Formula 1, or you don't have to join one at all. And that kind of dictates where you stand in Formula 2, I think, as well. It'll intertwine.
Yeah, and it's like which
cool.
teams, which teams you warm to slightly more. Obviously, if you're in the Ferrari Academy, you're not going to be number 1 on Red Bull's hit list. You won't be number 1 on AlphaTauri's hit list. Yeah,
exactly. See, and it gives you a better chance to give you that promotion to Red Bull or Ferrari or Mercedes, wherever you want to go. But but when you start your career mode back in the early days, you were given three options. You had HRT, Caterham, or Marussia, those three. Then as the season went on, they added in like Toro Rosso and Force India. You could start your career mode with. Recently, though, you can start your career mode anywhere you want. If I want to go to Mercedes in season 1, I could go to Mercedes in season 1. That bugs me because I know that option is there. Now, when I was younger, you wanted to work your way from the bottom to the top. And you wanted to get that contract. When I got that contract offer from McLaren in F1 2010, it was the best day of my life. I've got no life, but seriously, that was like, oh, lads, we're going places here. But now, obviously, I won't have that same reaction now, because if I do, never mind. Then it would be a bit weird. But I just think that I want to sort of, even though I know that I can start off at Williams and work my way up if I wanted to, or whatever, I think that they need to cancel sort of going to the top teams at first and just make it like, earn your way there. Because if I go to Mercedes in season 3 or season 4, I'm like, well, I could have done that in season 1, so it's like it doesn't feel like I've earned it. Like, I've went to them for the offer, they haven't went to me like what they used to do. So, and that's what I want to bring back, the contract offers. Like, okay, I want you to drive for our team. Even if you are part of the Red Bull Academy and you want to go to Mercedes, like, you can drop from the academy, let's say, but then your reputation with Red Bull just drops massively, or likewise with Ferrari, likewise with Mercedes. So what I would like to say, right, is that, again, have the driver academy. You've got three options. You've got Mercedes one, the Ferrari one, or the Red Bull one. Like, just give it them three. Renault.
Yeah. It doesn't really exist.
Alpine.
Does it?
There's no, not really. There's only one team you can go with, and I think, depending on who you go with, you've got like that option of like, well, if you do choose an academy, you don't have to choose an academy, but I think it'd be cool to have three teams to choose from to start your career mode with, which will be Williams, Alfa Romeo, and AlphaTauri. I think those three. Then you've got like, depending on where you go. So like, if you were to say join Williams, you'd be like more Mercedes Academy. If you joined Alfa Romeo, you'd be more Ferrari Academy. AlphaTauri, you'd be more Red Bull Academy, and then work your way up from there and like. Just do little things like just to improve your acclaim, your reputation, and then maybe eventually get that big seat to the drive, to the big drive at the top team. But even like do like maybe have like, I don't know, like little objectives to try and get you to there. And if you don't do all your objectives, for like, if let's say like Christian Horner says, I want you to finish like 6 point scoring finishes this season. I want you to finish on the podium for one race between now and, I don't know, like Japan, let's say, for example, just whenever. And if you don't do that, you don't get an offer from the top team. But then you can look at elsewhere. You can look at other options, but that will also dent your reputation with Red Bull, because if it doesn't work out at the other teams, you might want to go back, but you can't because you sort of damage your reputation. It just makes it more difficult for you as a player, but it just gives you more to do, because like. You just go, right, I'm at McLaren, I'm bored, I want to go to Mercedes, or I'm at Red Bull, I'm bored, I want to go to Mercedes, I want to go back down to Alfa Romeo. You know what I mean? It just gives you more of a challenge, and maybe do the young driver test, bring that back in as well, and then maybe have like a little test, and maybe then get an offer from, let's say, Williams, Alfa Romeo, or AlphaTauri, or whoever, just and get them to come to you. Maybe become a test driver for a season, bring that back in, just to add that more realism if you want to do that. You don't have to do that. I think that would be a good option to maybe go like, yes, I want to do that, or no, I just want to jump straight into career mode and just forget all that, and I just want to do just normal career mode like it is now. Give them that option, but because some people don't want that faff, or they're like, oh, I can't be bothered. But people like me, I am bothered. I want to do that. So maybe those kind of things I want to integrate into F1 2021. So maybe they could bring in a couple of new features like this. Like I said, nothing's been officially announced. We've got this new breaking point as well. Just quickly before we finish, James, this new breaking point story mode that they've got going on, that they've announced. Are you excited by this, that they're bringing in something like this and something different to the F1 2021 games?
I think absolutely. I mean, if you look at my team, it was new, it was fresh, we all loved it. When it came out, the whole interviews thing, before it started getting a bit repetitive, but having Will Buxton in your HQ before you started the season really brought a level of realism that we hadn't really had before. And then in 2019, when we had Devin Butler, Lucas Weber, an accident with Devin Butler, Lucas Weber having to pass you in Spain, it brought that extra level of realism. And then I think for Breaking Point, obviously Devin Butler, the real life Dan Ticktum, is making a return. I think it will be very, very enjoyable indeed, just to go through with it, because if they've, bit like EA did in FIFA with the Alex Hunter story mode, which was quite in depth, you went back to his under 11 days. If there was a hint of, something about Formula 3 and the announced trailer looked amazing, how long is it till you hit your breaking point? So obviously you're going to be thrown into a situation where you've got your back against the wall. Mm-hmm. Something like that I am quite excited for, and I think will be a good addition to the game, and I can't wait to get involved and give it a go.
Yeah, I'm so excited for it as well. I think it's the middle of July. It's gonna be releasing. So I think it's a weekend of the British Grand Prix, I believe.
It is. So I'm going to Silverstone on the Friday. I will be playing it all night on the Saturday, and then I'm going to Silverstone on the Sunday. So it's going to be an absolute weekend where I won't get any sleep.
Who needs sleep? What sleep?
Who needs sleep?
Who needs sleep when you got Formula 1, the game, and of course in real life F1. But guys, please leave your suggestions in the comment section below about your F1 2021 wish list. What do you want to see? We didn't really talk about online as much, so maybe you guys who do play online a lot, maybe there are some things you want to change. Maybe like league racing, of course, that added in a feature where you can join leagues, maybe more in depth with that, or maybe there's some things in career mode or my team that we missed off that you want to see, or maybe you're like, this game's perfect, let's change nothing. Whatever it is, let us know in the comment section below as well. And as well, before you do leave this video, please go and subscribe to James NS on his YouTube channel. James, as well, what kind of things have you got coming up on your channel as well? Just like people watching, just giving them like a little bit of a teaser as to what's coming up your way on your channel.
Okay, so I've got 2 series on the go at the moment. My first series, the one I started my channel with, is my Team series, which we've talked about a little bit. JNS Racing, we're on our quest for the World Constructors title in Season 3 now. We're recording this video. The Azerbaijan Grand Prix went live. We made 31 on-track overtakes.
Wow.
I won't spoil any more than that, but it was a pretty ridiculous race. And then I've also got a real-life Formula 1 series. It's about drivers who disappeared. So drivers from around 2014 onwards who were in the sport and then left the sport. So we had Marcus Ericsson, Will Stevens, and Esteban Gutierrez. And so that's what I do on my channel. Obviously, with F1 2021 coming out, there'll be so much content. I am very, very excited for that. But yeah, these 2 series is on the go at the moment. So yeah.
If that does sound good to you, go and subscribe to James NS. Link to his channel will be down below. But guys, thank you so much for watching as well. Watch what you're doing, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.